Well, that's good to hear. Well,
How about your son?
Yeah, we went back home, registered for classes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Well,
Yeah. That was smart. I really didn't have a hard time remembering.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
Hello.
budget presentation. So for that, be the
It stopped, but I assumed it was the craziness.
Yeah, I know the kids were.
I sent her an email about a week ago.
Oh, really? No, I haven't heard from her in a while. Kind of in the same boat.
Right? Oh, and my girlfriend.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, if I do, I'll let you know.
Oh, and he's on a soccer team. There you go.
You only have
On Wednesday.
As soon as our budget co-chairs get finished chatting, I'm going to call the meeting to order.
Oh, it's
Okay.
Okay, are we all set, Mr. Rondell? Thank you.
Okay, I call the meeting to order. We'll do the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. I'll take a motion to enter into an open session of the Budget Committee. Mrs. Nardolillo, and a second, Mr. Rondell. All in favor? Thank you very much. And we're in a session. I'd like to introduce Mrs. Nardolillo and Mr. Rondell, our co-chairs of budget. Yes, they are indeed. And Mr. Core, would you like to start tonight?
I would.
Okay.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to the last of the budget meetings before the formal adoption of the budget on the 18th or 17th, excuse me, of April. And that formal adoption is the Board of Education's adoption, and then the public will vote on that on May 22nd. In your handouts tonight, you should have a copy of the PowerPoint slides, and then you should have the schedules A, B, C, D, E, and F. Does everybody have those right now so that you can see them? Hopefully you had a chance to look at them over the weekend as well. All right, so again, tonight's our agenda. We're going to take a look at mission and budget priorities. We'll look at the enacted budget aid and any legislative changes. We previewed some of them earlier in the year. We'll talk about what they were. We'll then go through each of the schedules, A through F. I'll present it. If there's any board questions, I'll address those, and then those questions will be sent out to the audience. We will go through our property tax calculation. Then we'll look at our projected tax impact, and this is from what our actual tax levy will be. And then after that, the Board of Education will take a straw vote on each of the schedules A through F as we go through that. Do we have any questions on that before we start? Okay, so again, when we put together a mission, a budget, we again focus on our mission statement. We look at the objective for students, and we look at the objective for staff, teachers, and administrators. And in that, those are the two prisms through which we look at our budget. We do have, quite honestly, we do have competing priorities, and we have hardworking, diligent, thoughtful administrators who submit programs for our consideration. We evaluate them. It is never a case where someone is not mission compliant. They really do address the mission. But we try to take a look at the problem of scarcity when applying those scarce resources to best achieve our mission. When we take a look at our work here, our work is focused on the 3 pillars of equity, social, emotional health, and academic excellence. So basically, we have to take a look at each of the decisions in the district. How can we create equity of opportunity for all students in the district? And, you know, just as a side note here, we are looking at that right now. And, you know, quite honestly, I think one of the good things about the ESSA legislation is that it's compelled us to look in all directions. And I think, you know, if you take a look at the mission statement and you look at the all part of the mission statement, when you look at your results and when you look at who may have access to challenging work, when you look at achievement, student achievement, for example, when you look at student discipline and you take a good hard look at that data and you see some discrepancies with some of the subgroups we serve, that means to us that we have to do our job better. All right, and so we're constantly focusing on that, looking at it, doing professional development with our faculty, with our administrative staff and the like to remedy that. Social emotional health, how can our decisions contribute to the social emotional growth of all students in the district? And you know, we feel that we've made significant strides by adding additional social workers, a student assistance counselor, getting a social work clinic up and running in the district. But we realize that, you know, throughout the region, throughout the country, this is an ongoing problem and a continued source of our concern. And always the decision to impact the academic growth and development of all students in the district. And, you know, I think, you know, when you take a look at those pillars of equity, social emotional health, and academic excellence, in particular the social emotional health issue there, it comes down into this budget. We made some hard decisions here with some of the asks. And some of the asks are always that, you know, when we focus now and when we focus on the future, I think, you know, the decisions that we make are putting students in contact with real people, with teachers, okay, with support people. And when that hard decision sometimes comes to the fore, we realize the impact of technology and we realize the impact of if you will, machines, okay? It is significant. We want our students to be prepared. We want all students to have access on that. But I think personally, okay, where I am coming from and where our staff is coming from and recommending to the board this evening, okay, we would rather be spending money, okay, if we have to, supporting and maintaining our commitment to our students through keeping personnel in place and adding personnel where we need to. So, a little trigger happy here. Okay. Am I there? Yeah. There we go. Okay. So, when we take a look at it, you know, when we started this process back in the beginning of March, this is a good chart here because it shows us right now the budget from 18-19, the executive budget, the change in the executive budget, the enacted budget by the legislature from April 1, and the change from 18-19. Okay, so if you take a look at foundation aid, we did pick up about, you know, roughly in round numbers, $130,000 in foundation aid from the executive budget. You can see that on the top number there. Transportation aid is, you know, basically held the same. It was $200 less. Building aid was at the same level. Our operating reorganization incentive, that's down by $285,000. Remember, that's the 9-year slide in the Maplewood annexation aid. BOCES aid, if you take a look at BOCES aid, in the executive budget, that was $1,082,000 and change. It's now $1.232 million. The reason for that, and you're going to see in some of our answers to the technology budget, was with leftover equipment money from this year's budget was to buy ahead. And so when we take a look at buying ahead in this year's budget, what we do is we get that buying ahead aided by 50% with BOCES. So that's the reason for that bump up there. High cost aid from the legislative budget and the executive budget, the actual enacted budget, there's about that maintained at about the same. It's up $380,000 from the previous year. High cost for public placements, private placements, supplemental aids, all those high cost aids. The executive budget and the enacted budget is the same. We're up again, as I say, about $380,000. Hardware, software, library textbooks, that basically held true to the executive budget. It's up slightly by about $16,700. And all other state aids held true from the executive budget, and they are up about $87,000. So if you take a look at our total state aid increase from all aid categories, it's $1,652,292. Our total enacted budget state aid is $21,965,092. Okay, some of that is expense-driven aid, some of it's enrollment-driven aids, and some of it is foundation aid. Our foundation aid was not a huge jump. So other items in the budget, the property tax was made permanent. The cap was made permanent without any modifications. A new advantage for us is we can establish a reserve for the teachers' retirement system. There is an advantage to districts doing this. That is the districts are required to do a contribution to the teachers' retirement system. That contribution is driven by actuarial data. In other words, okay, that's going to be ongoing, life expectancy, when people are retiring, and so on and so forth. The tiers, there are tiers from 1 through 6, okay? All of them have different rules and regulations regarding payout, regarding retirement age, and like. So the mix of people who are in 1 through 6 determines what that set rate will be by the TRS board. Performance of the financial markets is also looked at. Take a 5-year look back, so that rate also will be affected either positively or adversely by the performance of the markets in any one year. So it's when the last 5th year comes off and the new 5th year comes on, sometimes it can be good, like it was this year, and sometimes it can be not as great, like we're projecting it to be for next year. Okay, so there's that. Remember, we were talking about changes to building aid and expense-based services aid in the beginning. We were saying that the governor was proposing some changes. Those changes did not make the final budget. I think that's good news for school districts. So we're happy about that. Now, if you take a look at some of the earlier presentations, these are some of the highlights that you'll see tonight. Okay, so Mr. Myers requested 2 new lifts. We removed one of them at a cost of $42,050. We are not going to put forward the new driver training position, which is $76,160. Now, we are in a good position right now. We have 3 people, 2 people who will be coming on staff who are certified driver trainers, and 1 person who does that, who's a driver and does that also as part of her job. So we're going to stay the course on that for another year and see how this works out. Instructional staff, one of the things we did, we added a sort of a generic 1.0 FTE for additional staff district-wide for enrollment, okay? We hope we don't have to use this, but we're keeping a full 1.0 kind of in our back pocket in case we get a big enrollment rush, in case we get many English as a new language learners coming into the district, special education students, any need that we might have, we're reserving it for that. So that's earmarked in this budget. For technology, we removed the grades 3 and 4 Chromebooks and carts in the 1-to-1 rollout. That was at a cost of $244,575. Quite honestly, in the 3 deep schools, we have 2 class sets of Chromebooks for 3rd grade and for 4th grade now. We feel that that's sufficient to do the program at the current time. We utilize current funding to buy 475 Chromebooks at $106,875, and we used current year funding for replacement laptops at $200,700. Remove the iPads for Quaver. Every music classroom in the elementary school has 15 of those. Students can continue to share one piece of equipment for that. We remove construction project hardware. So we put some of our hardware for the new middle school construction, we put that into the incidental costs of our project. And we reduced networking hardware by $230,000. Some of that has gone into the project. Some of that is also funded through the federal E-rate program. So it's still being obtained. It's just going through a different source. So now we'll take a look at the different schedules here. And many of you remember this schedule from the past, okay? This is a detailed description of Schedule A, okay? And what we have is the final budget for 18-19 and the proposed budget for 19-20. So I will go through the above the line part, okay? The above the line part represents expenditures without the options listed here. So if we take a look at the Schedule A part, that's the basic budget there. Staff salaries are up $3.1 million, 4.86%. Current staff fringes, we had the benefit of a good year with the financial markets. So TRS is down $529,986. ERS is up about $122,000. Health insurance plus EAP plus any insurance buyouts are up at $1.34 million. Dental insurance we're holding true. Sick leave at $240,000, holding the course there. Life insurance at $115,000, also holding the course. Social Security benefits with the additional staff and with the additional staff costs of salary and benefits, that's up $258,580 or $5.2 million. Okay, so the total fringe costs net out about $1.2 million more, an increase of 4.54%. If we take a look, and that's $27,672,205. Our textbooks, this is the cost of textbooks. It would be textbooks, workbooks, some software is included in that as well. That's $489,774. That's up $38,930. Utilities are down slightly, $1.456 million, down by about $18,000. BOCES services, we made a big move last year with BOCES. We're continuing that move. We are spending $2.7 million on BOCES services, an increase of $641,000. Special education department, excluding BOCES, costs down $66,900. Operations and maintenance, excluding BOCES and utilities, that's up $118,000. Diesel and gasoline costs estimated up $20,000 to $270,000. Insurance costs down by $27,000. Refund of property taxes, estimating about the same for that. Workers' comp up $100,000 to $425,000. Health services to other districts down by about $3,000. Charter school tuition holding true at $310,000. And then all other departments lumped together, $2.3 million, an increase of $127,292. So if you take a look at the total of contractual services, that's at $9,867,479, up $891,000. Our debt service, as you can see, has made a big jump. So that is at $5.2 million. That's up $2.34 $1.49 million, and that's because we have started the project. We're doing it with bond anticipatory notes. We're doing it in short-term financing before we actually extend out to the major bond, but we are still borrowing nonetheless. Supplies other than maintenance projects, okay, that's down by about $187,949, and that's $2.1 million. So that yields a subtotal of $113,146,430, an increase of $7.4 million. Okay, so we will then look through the different schedules here. As we go through that, just a comment here on revenues. I think you can take a look at what our proposed revenues are. State aid, excluding building and annexation aid, is up $1.675 million. Building aid is up $262,000. Annexation aid, as we mentioned, is down $285,000. And tuition and special education reimbursements up $165,000. Interest payments were, we have some favorable news there from the markets. Plus, it's the amount of money that we have in investments is bigger than it was previously. So we're estimating an increase of $250,000 on the revenue side. Other revenues, including pilots, $1.966 million, up $95,000. So when we look at our sum total of revenues other than property taxes, that it yields an increase of $2.16368. Total revenue is from outside of property taxes, $26,519,082. We are designating $1.750 million in the use of fund balance. That's an increase of $250,000. A reserve for ERS is holding at $200,000. A reserve for compensated absences is $50,000. Total use of fund balance $2 million. So the balance to be funded by real property taxes is $87,799,018, an increase of $2.796 million. We would go for a tax rate increase of 3.29%, which is less than the tax levy limit of 346%. So we are below the tax levy limit by $47,592. Okay, so that is that sheet for us right there. Let's see where the clicker is. Okay, lost. Okay, so any questions on Schedule A? I gave you Schedule A plus. Okay, didn't go into the options yet, but I'll open it up for discussion on Schedule A.
Do any of the board members have questions on this? I know we've talked about it before, but now's the time to ask if you have any questions. Any questions from the community? Yes, sir.
BOE services and operation and maintenance department, they have significant increase. So what is the reason?
The reason is we're buying more from BOCES. Okay, so when we buy more services from BOCES the following year, we get aid back on those services. That aid comes back at 49% of the expenditure. So it is a better expenditure for us to buy technology equipment, for example, a better way to do that than to not go through BOCES. And for operations and maintenance, I think, essentially there is some equipment that has been purchased there. Mr. Hoot, do you have any other ideas why that particular item is up as well?
I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head additional items in that category. Let me see if I can find out.
Okay. Sam.
So the teachers' retirement system, you said that's down because the market did well.
Yes.
Which is great. Was there any discussion about taking advantage of the TRS reserve?
I think that certainly is something that we will consider once we get more information about how to establish that reserve.
So that's not something we can do this year?
We could.
Okay.
We could, and that is a board-based decision that the board could choose to decide to do this year. So we would like to see, you know, how much, you know, if we run a budget surplus, if we do, how big that is, and what mix we would want to employ into the TRS.
So that doesn't have to show up on the budget?
It does not, no.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Joe, did you mention that there was a board that determines the limit on that amount?
Yes, there is a TRS board, okay, of, I know it has a school superintendent on it, has a lot of people from financial services, or who had background in financial services who are now a part of that.
Are there any other questions?
And maybe I just missed this, but one of the bullet items of the things for the state aid for the enacted budget was the authorization of piggyback transportation contracts. Right. What is a piggyback?
A piggyback, okay, now what school districts can do is school districts can enter into contracts with an outside agency. And what they can do is they can share that contract and they can share routes. Okay, so that was an advantage that if a district chooses to avail itself of that, they can. We do very, very little contracting, if any.
Mr. Boyd, go ahead.
What's the difference between executive budget and enacted budget?
The executive budget was the budget proposed by Governor Cuomo. The enacted budget was the budget that was achieved after weeks and weeks of months and months of negotiation through the legislative branch and the executive branch, and they came together, and this is the agreement that was made.
Thank you.
Bet.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so Schedule B is staffing. Okay, and so I think, you know, as we go through staffing here, this is the staffing that's being driven primarily by enrollment. So we are adding a kindergarten teacher at Blue Creek, a grade 2 teacher at Bow Hills, a grade 1 teacher at Southgate, a grade 4 teacher at Southgate, and a grade 5 teacher at Southgate, an ENL teacher at the elementary level, an ENL teacher at the secondary level. As previously mentioned, we're holding a 1.0 for enrollment in case it needs to be throughout the district. We're having a special education teacher for the 412 program that Mr. Simo has proposed. Okay, that is a 1.0, location to be determined. We're adding a part-time, 0.50, half-time physical therapist, district-wide. Special education supervisor is an ad that's being offset by we are eliminating a teacher on special assignment, a CSE chairperson. We're not actually eliminating someone. That person is retiring, and this is the replacement plan for that. So if you take a look at instructional total, FTE is 9.50. 6 of them are at the elementary, and 3.50 are district-wide. We are adding a girls' golf team. That's a $6,000 ad. We're adding 2 librarians for the summer program that we're going to put in place at Loudonville and Forts Ferry. That's $3,350. And the music program for 5th graders, as well as the end-of-year activities for this 1 year in transition, that's $20,000 that we're putting into the budget there. That's under new programs and initiatives, that's Schedule F. But going back into staffing here, to support the 412 program, we're adding 2 teacher aides at a cost of, if you take a look at the cost, their cost with salary and benefits, that's $52,928. A technology assistant at Shaker Junior High School with salary and benefits, that's $68,078. We are eliminating a Secretary 1 position throughout the district. Again, that is a position we're choosing not to fill. Okay, it's not the loss of someone's job. Computer lab aide, we are eliminating 1 at the junior high and 1 at the high school level. Again, that is not those are not people losing jobs. Those are positions that are not being filled. Copy room operator, eliminating that position. Again, it is not a position where someone is losing a job, but we are choosing not to fill those positions. Okay? Non-instructional ads, therefore, if you take all the additions and deletions, we're down 1. So the entire district subtotal is 8.50 additional staffing, both instructional and non-instructional. That is a total cost in those areas there of $691,826.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the community? We did an exceptionally thorough job explaining that when we had that evening last week, so we can move on now. Thanks, Jeff.
So with the equipment, this is a multi-page document. If you're okay, I won't go over this line by line. If you're not, maybe we can engage after the meeting for those of you who might. I'm certainly more than happy to do that. But if you take a look at it, the total of all equipment is at $2,047,994. Okay, and that's down from $2,903,812 in the previous year.
Does anybody have a question about something specific on this schedule? Anyone in the audience?
Okay, the next area item in your packet here is maintenance projects. Okay, so the first 2 items that you see there are $105,000 items. Okay, we are required by the state of New York every 5 years to do a building condition survey. So we have to commission our architects and engineers to do that. We are also required to do lead water testing. Okay, so those are mandates. Okay, that's a cost of $105,000. We have $92,500 budgeted for upgrades in the playground surfaces at all elementary schools, making sure that they have the right amount of cushion in those playgrounds so that they are safe. Black backstop replacements at Blue Creek, Loudonville, and Latham Ridge. A library circulation desk being built at Blue Creek. Parking lot striping, Bout Hill, Southgate, Bus Garage, and Goodrich, and window blind replacement throughout the district. And that's $92,500. Total of all maintenance projects is $197,500. Maintenance projects are typically projects that do not generate any state aid. That's fundamentally the difference there. State aid is very specific to some of the things that you can do.
Any questions on that one? Do you have any questions? We are moving right on, Jeff.
Okay, interfund transfers. Okay, we mentioned here that we used to do a lot of interfund transfer work in the past. A lot of that work is being subsumed into the building project. But there's a transfer into the special aid fund. That's the local share of the summer special education program. And that's an annual expense. This year it's $205,000. Any questions? Schedule F represents new programs and initiatives. Okay, I mentioned the girls golf team. That's a $6,000 ad to establish a new interscholastic team. There are 6 other suburban council schools that are are in this process where they are now considering adding an interscholastic team to their budgets. Summer library program, mentioned that, $3,350. That's a 6-week, 8-hour per week program at Loudonville and Forts Ferry, covering the twin ends of the district, if you will, and 5th grade transition, $20,000 to cover the music theater program and end of the year activities. So total for new programs and initiatives would be $29,350. So this is how the property tax cap. I'm sorry, Mr. Nardillo, were there any questions?
Right ahead.
Okay. So property tax cap. So here's the formula. It's calculated off the levy of $85,002,438 from 1819. Our tax base growth was 1.25%. So that increases that number to a factor of that increases that number to $86,064,968. Pilots, 250,758. Capital exclusions, 3.9 million. That gives us 82,401,354 to multiply by the allowable growth factor of 2%, yielding $84,499,381. We exclude the 1920 pilots of $252,280, and we exclude the capital exclusion, which was $4,049,509,000. So our levy limit, this is the amount we can go to the max, without requiring a supermajority. That's $87,846,610. That's 3.346%. So that's our max. Any questions on the tax cap? Sam?
That's not a tax rate though, right? That is the levy increase?
That's levy.
Do we know what the
That's,
tax rate increase will
yes,
be?
We'll be there. What we're proposing. Right. Any questions on any of this?
No, we're all set.
So levy versus rate. So so the growth in the tax levy does not equal the tax rate. So this year we're proposing to increase the levy by 3.29%, and that's under the cap of 3.346%. So basically, we're estimating the rate increase to be 1.9%, and based on our conversations with the assessor's office, we would say that 1.9% represents a net of the estimated growth. So that would be an offset. Okay, so if you're looking at the actual tax impact. So we're estimating in town that the growth, and that growth is measured by the new properties, the actual bricks and mortar, the built properties that come on the tax rolls during this year. All the businesses, all the residences, and so on. So that yields to a rate increase of 0.9494 per thousand of assessed value, and the annual increase would be $84,000 on a median assessed value single-family home in North County of $172,000. So I know there are people who are out there justifiably thinking right now, is this guy nuts? Who buys a home in North County for $172,000? That's not what it means, okay? North County is not at full value assessment. We're well below that. So that is a home in the vicinity of $300,000 plus, okay? Which is more in line with what the average home would be in North County. So that's $84.97 increase on a median assessed home of about $300,000.
Any questions?
So, Ms. Nardillo, we can now begin to vote.
Begin to vote. And this is a straw vote. So we'll begin with the base budget of $113,146,430. That's the above the line. All those in favor of that? Thank you. Staffing on Schedule B is a total of $691,826. All in favor? Schedule C, equipment, $2,047,994. All in favor? Thank you. On maintenance projects, Schedule D, $197,500. All in favor? Schedule E, transfer to other funds in the amount of $205,000. All in favor? Schedule F, new programs and initiatives in the amount of $29,350. All in favor? Okay, that should actually be, I got that all right. Correct?
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure. So, actually, then we'll take a straw vote, but this will be, this is our budget, that will be our expenditure budget, which will be adopted Wednesday, April 17th, and it's in the amount of $116,318,100. All in favor? Okay, great. Thank you, and thank you for all your input during this budget process. Your questions are valuable to us. And thank you, Mr. Kaur, Ms. Steele, and Mr. Booth, and the business office. We appreciate all your work on this.
And thank you to my colleagues on the Board of Education for your hard work, to our community, for your input and support, to our faculty and staff who attended these meetings as well. Thank you to Jane Dawson for her work in preparing these materials as our board clerk. We greatly appreciate that as well. Key dates, again, as Mrs. Nardillo mentioned here, April 17th, 7 p.m. Board will adopt formally the proposed budget. May 8th at 7, we have the public forum on the budget and the Meet the Candidates night. And May 21st, and this time we'll get it right, from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., we will have our annual budget vote and Board of Education election. So thank you very much.
I'm sure I'm going to be repeating everything Mrs. Nardillo just said, but the board is grateful for Mr. Kaur and his tremendous efforts when it comes to figuring out a budget that will be good for our students, and never loses our mission focus. And North Colony, just like every school in this state, rural, urban, suburban, face a lot of challenges. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got great needs, and to figure out how to meet those great needs, is always tough. It's a real challenge, and the needs are not going to get any less. And so the fact that you make this work every year, now I go back to the 2008 financial debacle when North Colony was in the fortunate position not to lay off one individual. And we instead expanded programs over time. And a lot of that has to do with Mr. Kaur and a very strong central office support team. And so my thanks to Kathleen Skills and to Scott, and again, gratitude. And the community is grateful as well. And they show their gratitude when they go out and support our budgets every year. So thank you, Mr. Kaur. And thank you to Mrs. Nardillo and Mr. Rondell. All right, I'll take a motion to exit the budget committee and to adjourn. Ms. Sajani, and a second, Mr. Gaynor, and all in favor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.